The world doesn't give you what you want. The world gives you who you are. Men sit and pray for riches, for success, for love, for peace, for influence. They declare with their mouths what they wish to receive, but they neglect the law of all laws, the one eternal principle that governs every man and every destiny. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. Your desires mean nothing until your desires transform your nature. The man who cries out for abundance while entertaining the thoughts of lack will live in poverty, regardless of what fortune may pass through his hands. The woman who longs for love while doubting her worth will repel the very thing her heart aches for. The boy who dreams of greatness but walks with fear in his mind is already defeated. And the girl who envisions the heights but refuses to change her habits will never rise. The law does not respond to wishes, it responds to vibration, character, identity. It listens not to the shallow cry of desire, but to the deep hum of who you've become. You see what you are within. Will find its equal without. If you are filled with doubt, you will attract confusion. If you are consumed by anger, you will invite chaos. If you are driven by fear, you will walk into the very troubles you dread. But if you cultivate peace, peace will meet you. If you develop confidence, doors will swing open. If you become disciplined, success will bow before you. The key is this: become the kind of person who would naturally have what you're asking for. Stop begging for what you're not prepared to sustain. Do not cry for the fruits if you've not planted the seed. Do not complain about the harvest if you've refused to till the soil. There are men who want the throne but reject the crown of responsibility. They want power but reject humility. They want loyalty but live in dishonesty. They want heaven but live like hell. And so they live in perpetual contradiction, asking for what they've not yet become. Transformation is not about chasing something. It is about aligning with it. A magnet does not chase metal, it pulls it. So too must you become magnetic, not to your wants, but to your identity. That is the hidden secret of success. You don't attract wealth by wanting wealth. You attract wealth by becoming valuable. You don't attract love by desiring love. You attract love by becoming lovable. You don't attract peace by demanding peace. You attract peace by being peaceful. And you don't attract blessings by envying the blessed. You attract blessings by being a blessing. Everything you desire already exists in abundance, but it resides on a frequency only your inner world can tune into. And until you rise to match the frequency of your vision, you will remain a stranger to it, even if it's standing right in front of you. There is no cheating the law, it is impartial, it does not play favorites. It does not respond to your pain, only to your vibration. So when you say you want something, look at your habits, look at your thoughts, look at your standards, look at your relationships, look at your rituals. Look at your environment. Are these in harmony with the future you speak of? If not, you are not manifesting. You are fantasizing, and fantasies without transformation are just illusions. A man cannot become something he is not willing to suffer for. You must die to your old self to become someone new. You must shed the weight of past habits, release the chains of self-doubt, silence the voice of defeat, and step into the identity of the man or woman who already has what you desire. You must become it in the mind, in the heart, in the soul, not just occasionally, but daily, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard, not just in public, but in private. Because your true identity is not who you are when everyone is watching. It is who you are when no one is watching. You cannot cheat energy. You cannot fake vibration. The world is not responding to your words. It is responding to your signal. There is no shortcut to becoming. There is no elevator to purpose. You must climb, and each level demands a new version of you. That is why the universe delays, not because it's punishing you, not because you're not deserving, but because it is waiting for you to grow into it. To attract greatness, you must become great, not by title, not by status, not by wealth, but by spirit. Greatness is a state of being. It is a way of living. It is a level of integrity. Do not pray for things. Pray for alignment. Do not pray for speed. pray for development. Do not pray for ease, pray for clarity. For when the inside is right, the outside must follow. That is the law. That is the truth. That is the secret men have been trying to buy with their gold, charm with their words, or wish with their emotions. But the secret cannot be bought, begged, or borrowed. It must be built. It is built in the quiet hours when no one is watching. It is built in the resistance when your old self cries out for comfort. It is built when you choose discipline over indulgence, purpose over pleasure, growth over ease. You are not rewarded by what you want. You are rewarded by what you endure to become. So I ask you, what are you becoming? Are you becoming generous, or are you still governed by greed? Are you becoming patient, or are you reacting in panic? Are you becoming grateful, or are you still rehearsing resentment? You can't fake who you are and expect the world to give you the prize of authenticity. You cannot live with doubt and expect the rewards of faith. You cannot speak abundance while thinking scarcity and expect prosperity. The world responds to your essence, not your image. You may impress others with words, but life is not moved by performance. It is moved by power. And power is born when your inner life and outer life become one. So stop asking for the fruit. Start becoming the tree. The fruit will come when the root is deep, and the root grows not by wishful thinking, but by persistent action, righteous living, clear vision, and unshakable faith. Whatever you desire is not far from you. It's just waiting for you to match it. Match the mindset, match the energy, match the responsibility, match the character, because life only hands you what you are ready to handle. And you will know you're ready, not when you want it, but when you can carry it, when you can hold it without trembling, when you can use it for good and not for ego, when you can be grateful for it and not enslaved by it. Become the person who no longer needs it, and it will show up. Become the person who can serve with it, and it will stay. The greatest men and women in history were not chasing things, they were becoming something. And because of what they became, the world followed. Do not waste your life begging for things that were always meant to follow you. Rise to the level of your calling. Step into the frequency of your highest self. And the things you once chased will begin to chase you. They will chase you not because you shouted the loudest, but because you finally became the quiet storm. They will come because you are no longer a seeker. You are now a source. The very atmosphere around you will shift. You'll find that the rooms you once tried to get into are now being built around you. People will wonder what changed, and the truth is, you did. The world cannot deny the man who is what others only pretend to be. And the evidence of true transformation is not found in how loudly you speak, but in how silently you attract. There is a gravity that only authenticity carries. When you align with purpose, you no longer need to convince, manipulate, or chase. You begin to draw. Do not be surprised when people start saying you're lucky. That's what they call alignment when they don't understand the cost. They didn't see the nights you fought with your lower self. They didn't hear the lies you had to silence. They didn't watch you turn away from distractions. They weren't there when you were planting seeds in dry soil, trusting the rain would come. They didn't see the process, so they'll never understand the product. But you will, because you know what it took. You'll know that the things you have are not results of chance, but results of change. This is the law. When you evolve, everything attached to the old you falls away. Some call it loss, but the wise call it making room for new people, new ideas, new standards, new opportunities. Life cannot pour into a full cup, and you were full of fear, full of guilt, full of hesitation. You had to be emptied so that you could receive, and now that you are receiving, don't forget. What you hold in your hand will always reflect what you hold in your heart. That's why you must keep refining yourself, not once, not twice, but daily. Because your identity is the gatekeeper, who you are determines what can stay in your life. You may stumble upon success, but only a certain kind of person can sustain it. You may meet someone by accident, but only a certain kind of spirit can nurture that love. You may come across an opportunity, but only a certain kind of discipline can maximize it. You will lose what you haven't prepared to manage. So prepare in silence, prepare with humility, prepare by doing the inner work while no one claps. Prepare by becoming the vessel worthy of the vision. This world does not reward need. It rewards readiness. How do you know when you're ready? When you no longer need it to complete you. When your identity is not attached to the outcome. When your worth is not dependent on achievement. When the process itself becomes the prize. That is when you become dangerous. When you no longer chase from a place of lack, but from a place of overflow. When you no longer ask because you're empty, but because you're available. And when you are available, the universe floods in. It brings what belongs to you, not what you begged for, not what you borrowed, not what you manipulated to get, but what is rightfully yours because of who you are. Let others talk, let them dream, let them wish. You become so rooted in purpose that you no longer flinch at delay. Become so grounded in your calling that you can walk through storms without fear. Become so aligned in thought, word, and deed that the entire universe has no choice but to obey your command, not because you shouted louder, but because your very existence is an order to reality. Become it so deeply that even your absence speaks loudly, because once you are aligned, once you are in harmony with your future, once you've made peace with your past, and once you are living in the frequency of your highest self, then the struggle ends. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become stronger. You stop asking the world to change, and you begin to be the change. You stop waiting for the right time, and you understand that you are the appointed time. This is where destiny begins, not at the top of the mountain, but in the valley of decision, where you finally say, I will not chase any more, I will transform. When that decision is made, not just once, but every day, you will feel the shift. People will notice it in your posture, in your tone, in your silence, in your presence, because true power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need applause. It walks in the room, and the room adjusts. It speaks less, and yet it's heard more. It stands still, but everything else moves around it. That power is not earned by wanting more. It is earned by being more. So if you want better, be better. If you want loyalty, be loyal. If you want trust, be trustworthy. If you want love, be love. If you want abundance, become abundant in mindset, in speech, in how you treat others, and in how you treat yourself. You attract not what flatters your ego, but what mirrors your soul. And when your soul is clean, when your heart is sincere, when your path is clear, you don't just attract things, you command them not through force but through alignment, not through pressure but through purpose, not through striving but through becoming. And there is no greater becoming than stepping fully into the identity of the person you were always meant to be. So I leave you with this truth, that's not in the opinions of men, but in the foundation of universal law. You will never receive more than who you are, not a penny more, not a minute more, not a blessing more. The treasure you seek does not lie in some distant land. It lies beneath your very feet, hidden in your character, buried in your decisions, wrapped in your habits, and guarded by the version of you that you are too afraid to become. You keep asking life to give you more, but life is asking you to become more. You keep hoping God will show up, but God is waiting for you to rise up. The key to everything you want is not in another man's hand, not in another day's wait, not in another book you haven't read. The key is you, it always has been, so stop watching, stop wishing, stop waiting, look in the mirror, and start becoming, because when you do, the universe will recognize its reflection, and it will bow to the image of the person who dared to grow. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are, and you have the power to change what that is, starting now.